And welcome back to Never Don't Ask with me, John Martin, and we have another station review. The last few weeks I've dealt a bit too much on concrete, urban, bleak stations, so let's have a raw change of pace. Today we visit Morecambe Bay. We're in Cumbria and the northern run station of Kent's Bank, so cue the titles. Yes, I have titles now. Kent's Bank Station is on the southern tip of Kent's Bank Village, reached from Kentsford Road and Kirkhead Road, and to the east is Morecambe Bay. Kent's Bank sits on the Furness line between Carnforth and Barrow-in-Furness. Grange over Sands is 2.2 miles to the north. Cork and Cartmel Station is 2 miles to the west. The station first opened on the 1st of September 1857 as part of the Ulverston and Lancaster Railway. This railway was built to provide a safer, more reliable alternative to the hazardous over Sands route across Morecambe Bay, which travellers previously used to move between Lancaster and the Furness region. Despite its strategic purpose, the station itself initially saw very little use. Within a year of opening, the passenger numbers were so low that the station closed in 1858. However, the closure proved temporary and Kent's Bank reopened again in May 1859 and was reinstated into the railway timetable. During the early 1860s, the Ulverston and Lancaster Railway was absorbed by the Furness Railway, a company that would play a major role in developing the rail network across the Furness Peninsula. Under the Furness Railway, improvements were made to the station. Between 1864 and 1865, more substantial buildings were constructed, including a station house and facilities for railway staff and passengers. These structures were designed by the Lancaster Architectural Partnership of Paley and Austin, who were responsible for many of the railway buildings in the region. Further development took place around 1890 when the Furness Railway expanded the station with additional waiting rooms, operational spaces for staff. By this time, the railway had become an established transport link serving both local communities and visitors travelling along the coast. Major change came in 1923 during the nationwide railway reorganisation known as railway grouping. Furness Railway was absorbed into the London Midland and Scottish Railway, one of the big four that became to dominate the British railway system in the interwar years. The station then passed into public ownership in 1948 following the nationalisation of British Railways, becoming part of British Railways London Midland region. Like many smaller rural stations, Kent's Bank gradually lost staff during the 20th century. The final station master left in 1967, and by 1971 ticket issuing had ceased, leaving the station unstaffed. There are two platforms here. Platform 1 towards Carnforth is 110 metres long. Platform 2 towards Barrow is 119 metres long. Both platforms are side platforms linked by a Barrow crossing at the Barrow end, appropriately, of the station. The Department of Transport classes this as an F2 category station, the least busy category. Marks for services, 2 out of 10. There is roughly one train now in each direction between Lancaster and Barrow, run by Northern Rail. Lancaster is 30 minutes away, Carnforth is 20 minutes away, Grange over Sands is 4. Ulverston is 10 minutes away, and Barrow is just over half an hour away. Some services extend to Preston and Manchester Airport. Preston is 47 minutes away, Manchester Piccadilly is an hour 40, and Manchester Airport just under 2 hours away. We also have services that should run up the Cumbrian coast to Carlisle. However, at the time of writing and the time of visiting, the Cumbrian coastline is still closed south of Whitehaven to repair the Bradley Tunnel, so trains are only running as far as Cortical. Sellafield is an hour and a half away, St Bede's an hour 50, and Cortical is just under 2 hours away. We look at the 24-25 figures and find the top destination is Lancaster with 3,242 journeys, followed by Ulverston, Arnside, Barrow-in-Furness and Grange over Sands. The railway saw 30,544 entries and exits over the year, which is a daily average of 8.37 passengers. We had 255 scheduled services a week on average, which makes about 2.3 passengers per service. The Cumbrian coastline saw an improved Sunday service, which rapidly improved its passenger numbers in 2018, which showed through on the 2019-2020 figures. The post-COVID figures are still recovering. They haven't quite reached that high. On my visit, there was still some unreliability in the services, especially beyond Barrow, and that could have a knock-on effect on passengers. Marks for onward travel, 1 out of 5. There are 2 bus services from the station. The 5:30 runs between Kendal and Grange over Sands to Cartmel. However, there are only 2 afternoon services call at Kent's Bank. The 2 morning services operate the other way. There's also the 5:32, which runs on Monday, Wednesday and Fridays. 1 morning and a lunchtime service runs to Grange through Kent's Bank, then via Flockborough, Ravenstown, Cork and Cartmel and back to Grange. There are also 2 late morning and a late lunch on the reverse of that loop, so basically just heading to Grange. Marks for accessibility, 6 out of 10. Station isn't staffed, but both platforms have level access, and we have screens and announcements. Marks for station facilities, 3 out of 10. The station has minimal facilities. There is some seating here and some really nice cast iron benches. There's also a covered seating area. We have ticket machines but no ticket office. While there is some cycle storage, there isn't any car parking. And the station building is now being used as an art gallery. Marks for care and character, 18 out of 20. Kent Bank Station is one of those stations that proudly displays its awards on the fence. Far be it from me to criticise the judges of the certificates of excellence and the work of the friends of the station. So I won't. This is a lovely station. Some of my favourite features are the red squirrels moulded onto the cast iron benches. The paint was vibrant when I visited, and the gardening on platform 1 very flora. The remaining station buildings and facilities are in good condition. This is one of those stations that, however well maintained, its location adds significantly to the character of the station. It's close to the bay, and the footpath from the end of the station leads to the marsh. It's a cute coastal station, and behind it rises a village of white painted houses. It's all quaintly English, despite being probably an almost one-of-a-kind station. I've visited stations that have slightly more spectacular surroundings, but these aren't as well cared for stations. In the 2026 Community Rail Awards, Friends of Kent Bank Station were the leading group in the gold level of It's Your Station Awards. Congratulations and well deserved. They also picked up other recognitions for some other projects. They are a really dedicated group. Marks for nearby things, 3 out of 10. The village of Kent Bank doesn't really have much in the way of facilities, and the station is the far southern tip of the village, so it doesn't really have shops or hospitality nearby. There are some holiday homes close to the station. What it does have is Morecambe Bay on its doorstep, and a walk along the marshes. Kirkhead Cave is also close by. Overall, this station gets 33 out of 65, which comes out at 51%. It is a charming little station. It's situated in a beautiful part of the country, but the service is sparse. It was very unreliable when I was there. I'm not counting that in the marks. And there is little to the station beyond those aspects that the Friends of Kent Bank excellently maintain. If you're travelling through and have an hour to spend, this is a nice little station to visit. At this point, yes, I'm causing some introspection about my marking system. Well, yes, but also no. Yet, a marking system that has to encompass both the major terminals with dozens of trains an hour, multiple restaurants and their own bus network, is going to have issues when the small stations. I would consider the marking system remains the same across every station, but comparisons should only be really made like for like. So while this is never going to compete with the likes of Darlington, against its own F2 category stations, this ranks really high. We can see this reflected in those international station surveys that frequently put places like Paris, Gare, Montparnasse near the top of the best stations in Europe. I can't stand the place personally. It's like somebody stuck 3 train stations to the side of a 1980s office building and then walked away thinking the job was done. Anyway, How would you give equity in rankings between stations that see 30,000 passengers a year and those that see 30,000 passengers a day? Comment away. Once again, thank you for watching as I travel around the country. Please like, subscribe and ring that bell to be notified of the next station review. Till next time, bye.